Welcome to the Unapologetic Man Podcast, the only podcast that's all about self-improvement, confidence, success, women, and being a man without making any apologies for it. What is up, ya champions? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Uniform Mike Papa, the Unapologetic Man Podcast, where we don't apologize for being men. We don't apologize for being attracted to women. And we certainly don't apologize for wanting to have sex with them. That is your nature, brother. So if you feel guilty, if you feel shame around your sexuality, why? Have you questioned that shit and just be like, dude, why am I shameful to be sexual towards a woman? That is why you're here. That is why the species has arrived to its current place in history. So you should be thankful that your ancestors were so horny that they'd fuck a snake if they could hold it straight, because they went out and got laid. Maybe some of them were shameful about their sexuality, but certainly they didn't not act on it, because you wouldn't be here. So thank the fact that your grandfather was so horny that he'd fuck the frothy armpit of a girl on a Stairmaster, because that's what brought you here, brother, and you should be proud of your sexuality. So today, when I talk about how to ask girls questions, we're going to be talking about how to be playful, and we're going to be talking about things that are going to get some of you guys butthurt. Now, the root of the reason as to why a lot of you guys get butthurt and send me emails like, oh, that would never work when you've had experience with like 5 girls, is because there's shame surrounding your sexuality. A lot of the times when people think that pickup artist coaches are scumbags, or worse yet, you guys who listen to this kind of stuff are creepy, it's because they have issues around their own desire to procreate. So we need to really address that and look at it with an open mind and say, dude, why am I adverse to certain kinds of pieces of advice? Why am I adverse to a guy who teaches other guys how to get women? If you have that inside of you, I strongly suggest you question it. If, on the other hand, that you're open to this kind of content, you like listening to it, and better yet, you go out and deploy it, smack yourself on the ass because you are a goddamn champion. But brothers, there are a lot of people out there who have issues with this kind of stuff, a lot of people out there who won't take this advice, and a lot of people out there who don't get laid. So I want to let you know this shit works. It has been proven time and time again. It has been field tested, MarkSing approved. So before you run it through your filter of hatred, think about the true reality of the situation. You're in a nightclub, you guys are having fun, or perhaps you're at a party or even a business get-together. And if the girl is playful, she is going to like this stuff. So listen to this with an open mind. This is playfulness. If, on the other hand, she's not playful, then she probably has a stick up her ass, but maybe you don't use this shit on her. So this is a playful vibe. Girls just want to have fun. It's one of the most important things I can teach you. You need to be playful. This goes back to my previous episode called How to Emote, which comes from emotion, how to elicit emotions out of women, as well as my immediate previous episode, which is how to answer the questions that girls are going to ask you. Where are you from? What do you do for a living? How old are you? Etc. If you don't have a fun and interesting way to answer those questions, she's not going to get attracted to you. But rather than just doing it to her when she asks you a question, we want to ask her questions in an equally fun and interesting way. So we're going to get into that today. So the most common questions that people ask each other when they're getting to know each other is, what do you do for a living? It's almost the first question that people ask. How old are you? What do you do for fun? Where do you live? Where are you from? So these 5 questions are the backbone of most conversations. And as I said in my previous episode, if you don't have a fun and interesting way to answer those questions, she's going to blow you out, and you're missing a really good opportunity to build awesome attraction with chicks. So in that previous episode, I talked about how you will answer those typical questions with the 3-step process. The first step, of course, is to say something funny. When it comes to her asking you what you do for a living, for example, you could say something like, I'm an ass model, I'm a penguin picker-upper at the zoo because when penguins fall over, they can't pick up themselves. Or one I actually forgot to mention, and I'm glad I remembered it, is I'm a professional tanning butler. I go around helping people tan, and that's what my purpose in life is. I just want to see more tan people, God damn it. And it's really funny because there actually is such thing as a tanning butler. And this too is something I'll accuse women of being. And I'm going to discuss that in a second. So first we say something funny. Second thing is the truth. And the third thing is a story about how we became that thing or why we like that thing. Or for example, in the case of me living in Colorado, why I chose to move out of California, the ego center of the United States, into Colorado, the most beautiful, the most excellent, the best place to live in the entire fucking world. And I truly believe that. I've lived all over the world. This is the best fucking spot, bro. So if you're thinking about moving to Denver, email me. Let me know when you get here, and you and I will get more ass than a toilet seat. All right, so we answer her questions with that 3-step process, and we could do it right back to her. So for example, when you ask a woman, what do you do? What do most of you guys do? You say, what do you do? And then you leave it there. You are essentially leaving a golden opportunity on the table to build more attraction and make her laugh. So what I always say, and a lot of you guys have heard this, is, so what do you do for a living? Wait, let me guess. You're an ice cream man, aren't you? And she's like, no, I'm not an ice cream man. You say, yes, you are. I know you drive that ice cream truck. I knew I recognized you. You are Denver's most prolific ice cream man, selling all that ice cream to these children. And you know what I heard about you? You actually use the ice cream truck as a front to push drugs. Is that true, Sarah? And she's like, no, it's not true. And I'll be like, listen, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Every city needs a good ice cream man. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to meet me outside this nightclub at 12 p.m. tomorrow. My favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip. I want a gallon. That's right, a gallon, Sarah, of mint chocolate chip delivered straight to me. Now, I'm homeless. I live in a box right outside the bar, so it won't be hard to identify me. I want that gallon tomorrow. Pinky swear? And then she'll be like, no, I don't pinky swear. Or, yes, I pinky swear. And then you guys can do a pinky swear again, guys. Playful. So the first thing you do is accuse her of being something. Some of the things I like to accuse her of being are, as I said, an ice cream man, a machine gun saleswoman. So I always say, wait, what do you do? Let me guess. You're a machine gun saleswoman, aren't you? And then it cracks her up. Tanning butler, as I talked about. An eyebrow model. And I especially use this when she tells me she's a model before I can ask her what she does. If she's like, oh yeah, I'm a model, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, are you an eyebrow model? I can see that. You know, you look really good with the unibrow. Why'd you shave it off anyway? And that always makes them laugh. So I'll accuse them of being an eyebrow model, a pinky model, and oftentimes when they tell me they're a model too, which a lot of chicks do, I've had like 50,000 chicks tell me they're a model. I'm like, oh, do you dance in a burrito outfit outside of Taco Bell? You know, I think I saw you on Main Street. You dance in front of that Main Street Taco Bell, don't you? And she's like, shut up. And if you get her to like hit your arm and say like, oh, shut up, and she like hits you, a lot of you guys have experienced that. That is attraction. As I talk about all the time in this podcast as well, playfulness is attraction. We want to be like kids on the schoolyard, just messing with each other, busting each other's chops, as I always say. That builds attraction. On that note, you'll have a lot of girls who tell you they're OnlyFans models. Oh my hell, how many chicks have told me that in the last 6 months? It's freaking ridiculous. So I'll be like, oh, OnlyFans, is that where they sell baseball cards? That's the baseball card website, right? I can actually see you selling quite a bit of baseball cards. What's your record number of cards sold in an evening? And she's like, no, stupid. It's where guys pay me to show my vajayjay and for me to throw both my feet up behind my head and finger blast myself as guys pay me. And it's a fucking thirst trap. And I'm like, you must be very proud of yourself, right? I don't say that. But anytime they say OnlyFans model, I accuse them of being like a baseball card saleswoman. If they tell me they're a model generally, like a promotional model, I accuse them of dancing in a burrito outfit. And if they just say model, like runway model, I'm like, oh, an eyebrow model. Or if they say they're a dancer, I'm like, oh, cool. Do you dance the Congo? I've really been wanting to learn that. So when they try to brag to you, this is an awesome opportunity to bust their chops a little bit, maybe take them a little bit off their pedestal and joke with them boys. This always has a joke vibe behind it. You have a wry smile on your face. And when I say wry, it's W-R-Y. If you've ever seen that movie Fight Club, it's kind of the way Edward Norton smiles throughout that movie when he's in the frame of Tyler Durden. It's kind of like that all-knowing smirk that I like to give girls a lot when I'm busting their chops. So when you ask them what they do, you could say those things. As I said, ice cream man, machine gun saleswoman, tanning butler, sippy cup tester. And I often do this when chicks like spill their drink. I'm like, what do you do for a living? I think you're a sippy cup tester, aren't you? And then if they hit you on the arm saying, shut up, big time attraction. Another thing I like to say, particularly when the girl likes to be teased, is, Kelly, as I'm talking to you, it's kind of obvious to me that you've been hit in the head a lot. Are you a professional helmet tester? Is that what you do for a living? And this is a good way to tease her, to accuse her of being these things. So when she asks you, what do you do for a living? You go through that 3-part sequence. Then you say, what do you do for a living? Wait, let me guess. And I always kind of put my index finger up to my lips and I'm like, wait, let me guess. And then I point at her and I say, you're an ice cream man, aren't you? And then she usually laughs and she's like, no, shut up. And she'll like hit me on the arm. You guys may be wondering how often chicks get pissed about that. Say, for example, her uncle was an ice cream man, which literally happened to me, and she got super butthurt about it. What do you do when you're teasing a girl and she gets butthurt? You say, hey, my apologies. I didn't realize that you'd be sensitive about that kind of joke, so I'll avoid it moving forward. And you guys notice in the frame of being unapologetic, you're not apologizing for your actions. You're saying, I didn't realize that this would affect you in that way. So I'll adjust my delivery moving forward. I'll adjust to accommodate you because essentially you're hypersensitive and you get butthurt easily. This is why I don't buy into the whole trigger words thing, is because if you're triggered by anything, that's your issue, bro. You haven't dealt with some shit in your life, so you're getting butthurt about it. So why should I have to change what I talk about to accommodate for your weakness? That's the way I think of it. There's literally nothing you could say to me that would get me butthurt. Nothing. My dad died when I was 10. Go ahead and talk shit about it. I had anxiety. Go ahead and talk shit about it. I'm a man. Go ahead and talk shit about it. Am I fucking offended by it? No. Getting offended is weakness. So if she gets offended because you call her an ice cream man or an eyebrow model, or you say that she's a tanning butler, that's her issue, bro. So you don't apologize for it. You instead say, I didn't realize you were sensitive about that. So I'll be careful with my words moving forward, which is to say, I will accommodate your weakness because you obviously haven't worked on yourself yet. I strongly suggest NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, because there's clearly issues still inside you, young lady. And to you boys listening, if anything gets you butthurt, triggered, you have belief systems, or you think you're not enough, or sex is shameful, as I talked about at the top of the show, you too have issues inside your head. I strongly suggest NLP. Unfortunately, I do not know anybody who works on that in this realm specifically, other than yours truly. Who has 2 thumbs and is the best NLP dating coach there ever was? This guy, because I believe I'm the only one. So I'm definitely the best. But real talk, what I do fucking works. So if she gets butthurt, you address it and then you blow past it. But boys, most chicks, 90%, fucking think this is funny, especially if you deliver it with that wry smile. You're just messing with her. You're just busting her chops like 2 kids on the schoolyard. Girls just want to have fun. So she asks you what you do. You do the 3-part answer. Then you ask her what she does back. What do you do for a living? Let me guess. You're a tanning butler, aren't you? No, I'm not. Ha ha ha. Okay, what do you really do? Now, this goes back to that 3-part sequence. First part is a joke. You're accusing her of being a helmet tester. Second one is, what do you do for real? Third thing is, why did you want to do that thing? What inspired you? So now there's 2 different directions, and I know a lot of you guys are thick-headed, so stick with me here. There's 2 different directions you can go when you're having her explain why it is she's doing what she's doing. The first direction is if the job is cool and you can tell she's really passionate about it. I met a doctor the other day. Obviously, she's passionate about becoming a doctor. So rather than saying, oh, that's cool, do you get a lot of patients? I asked her instead, what inspired you to want to become a doctor? See how this is getting into her emotions? What inspired you? What was it in your history? And she told me a great story about how her mom had surgery, which saved her life. And at that moment, she chose to become a doctor. Do you think her sharing that story with me produced more attraction or less attraction than had she not said it? Of course, more attraction, you idiot. The reason is because we're getting her into her emotions. So you ask her, what inspired you to become that? Was there something that happened in your childhood that made you want to do that thing? What is it about, let's say, being a lawyer that you love most? Now, the second way we can go with it is if the job sucks. And I've actually talked about this in a recent episode. If, for example, she works at a tow yard, which happened to me once, I could tell she hated the job. She's like, ugh, I work at a tow yard. If she says, I work at XYZ place, you're not going to be like, oh, what inspired you to want to become a waitress at the butt canal where you wear tight little booty shorts where the bottom of your butt cheeks come out so guys can oodle you and pinch your butt and think about finger blasting your butt? No, you go the different direction, which is, do you ever take revenge on the clientele? So if I go through the sequence and I'm like, what do you do for a living? Let me guess, you're an ice cream man. No, I'm not, ha ha ha. I actually work at the butt canal and it's so stupid. And I'll be like, hey, I'm curious. At the butt canal, which is kind of like Hooters, but for butts, and guys, I'm totally making this up. At the butt canal, do you ever like spit on people's steaks or accidentally just drop a steak on the ground, a pube gets connected to it and you're like, meh, and you just slap it back on the plate? Or do you ever like choke clients out when they're really mean to you and being really lascivious? You just fucking choke them out. And she's like, ooh, I want to. Now, again, we're getting into her emotions. So within the 3-part sequence of what do you do? Let me guess, you're a machine gun saleswoman. No, I'm not. I actually work at the butt canal. On that third step, you could go 2 different directions. Either A, why are you passionate about it? Or B, what sucks about it? So it's still a 3-part sequence, but with her job particularly, about half the chicks I meet like their job, half the chicks hate their job, and you have to go the direction of the feedback that she's giving you. But if you just need one lesson from this, the first thing you say to her about what do, you have to guess. And I always guess ice cream man. It works really well for me. I suggest you guys steal it. Lately, I've been doing crash helmet tester, which really gets a lot of laughs out of them. So use your creativity. Even though I know a lot of you guys are not that creative and you just fucking steal my shit without any apology whatsoever, that's cool, bro. This is a public service. There you go. Steal my shit because it does work. So that's what we do when we ask her, what does she do for a living? When you ask her how old she is, which with some chicks you shouldn't ask, but younger chicks is usually okay. You could say, wait, let me guess. You are 63? No, 62. And you could bust her chops that way. When you guess where she's from, I like to say that she's from Asia if she's a white chick. If she's an Asian chick, I say she's from Switzerland. If she's a black chick, I say she's from Ireland. Now again, easy goes it there, guys. A lot of girls get butthurt. So you need to kind of gauge the girl. Is she going to be super racially sensitive? If she's Asian and I say she's from Ireland, is she going to get butthurt about it? Some do, surprisingly. And then I'm like, whoa. I didn't realize you would get mad about something I'm just joking about. I'll avoid those jokes moving forward. But if you could feel you can get away with it, then go for it. Just guess where she's from. Or you could even guess in the way that I did with that girl at the airport that I was talking about in a couple episodes ago, where I guessed that she was originally from California. Because, and I didn't say this, but because I observed that she was platinum blonde, fake lips, fake tits, fake ass, fake tan. And I'm like, dude, this chick is Orange County, California all the way. There's no way she's from Denver. So I was like, hey, you're not from Denver, are you? You're definitely from California, aren't you? And she's like, why? And I'm like, look at you. You're all done up to the nines to get on an airplane flight. That's so Orange County. And she agreed with it, and that got a lot of rapport. So there's different ways to take this thing. But generally speaking, when you're asking them where they're from, how old they are, you can joke around a little bit if they like to be teased. Going back to the where are you from bit, if you feel comfortable to accuse them of being from somewhere they're clearly not, and you know they like to be teased and they're going to be okay with that, go with that. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, just say, so, hey, where are you from? And she's like, oh, I'm from Japan. And you'd be like, what is it about Japan that most makes you feel like home? And I really like that question because home has a rapport building element to it. So I like to ask them, what makes you feel like home in this situation? So with me, I'm originally from Southern California, but I moved to Colorado. If somebody asked me, Mark, you're originally from Southern California, which has a very different vibe than Colorado. Southern California is really like an ocean kind of place. You go surfing and kayaking, scuba diving and fishing. Whereas Colorado is more of an outdoorsy place where you go camping and you go skiing and mountain biking, etc. But what is it about Colorado that makes it feel like home more than California? Dude, that question would get so many emotions out of me because I'd be like, man, I just love driving up in the wilderness. I love the smell of pine trees on a hot day. I love the forest. In my opinion, it has a vibration to it. And frankly, I think the people are cooler out here. I really do. So that makes it feel like home. I just feel welcomed here. So if somebody asked me that question, it would build rapport with me because they're curious about an emotion that I feel in a particular situation. So if you ask her where she's from, that's a great follow up question. What is it about living here that perhaps reminds you of home or makes you feel like home? Or what is it that you miss most about home? Right now, as you guys know, I live in Denver. There's a nursing school right next to one of the bar districts that I always go to. So I have girls that are from all over the country. What I ask them oftentimes is, so where are you from originally? And she'll say Vermont. And I'll be like, what is it about Vermont that most makes you feel like home? And then she'll go on and on about whatever, the cold days and how she likes to get snuggled up. That's getting her into her emotions, which elicits attraction. So let's review, gentlemen. When asking a girl a question, you do a 3-part series. You do first a joke, accusing her of being something she clearly isn't. An ice cream man, machine gun saleswoman, tanning butler, helmet impact tester. Then you say, no, all jokes aside, what do you really do? And then either ask her a question as to why she was inspired to become that, or if she takes revenge on the people who she works with, or what is it about that job that really sucks. So each of the categories has a way to bring it through this 3-step process. When you ask her, for example, what she does for fun, you can say, what do you do for fun? Let me guess. You are obsessed with the midget rodeo, aren't you? I could tell. You like the midget rodeo. And boys, there actually is a midget rodeo. It is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. All love to midgets. I've actually had a couple midget clients. I'm not ripping on them. But if you're a midget, you should have worked on yourself enough to be secure with it. But when it comes to the midget rodeo, the funniest shit I ever saw in my life is a fucking midget riding a miniature horse in a Zorro outfit. And they brought people out from the audience to lay down, and he was jumping over them with his fucking horse. Dude, I pissed myself. It was the funniest shit I've ever seen. So you can accuse her of being obsessed with the midget rodeo. You guys laugh. Maybe you tell that little story about how the midget horse was jumping over people from the audience. Then you say, no, really? What do you really like to do? Maybe she's in Colorado and she likes to ski. And you could say, what is it about skiing that you like the most? Getting her into her emotions, or what's the craziest skiing story you've ever had? And then she could tell you a skiing story. When asking her name, for example, I always do this and I want you guys to steal it. I say, so what's your name? Wait, let me guess. Your name's Shadynasty, isn't it? And she's like, no, shut up. My name's not Shadynasty. And I'll be like, no, really, what's your name? And she'll say something like Betty Claire, which happened to be a couple weeks ago. Now, me being the intelligent conversationalist that I am, Betty Claire, in my opinion, is a really unique name. So I asked her, where'd you get that name from? Was it a relative? And yeah, it happened to be her grandmother. And then she talked about how it's cool that she's named after her grandmother, getting her into the emotions. So guys, when she asks you a question, 3-step process: funny, truth, story. When you ask her a question, 3-step process: accuse her of something funny, ask her what the truth is, then ask her for a story or some kind of fact regarding that thing where you guys can get into a conversation. This is the way, gentlemen, to build interesting, attraction-building conversations in conversations that are usually dry and boring. Where are you from? Vermont. What do you do for a living? I'm a physician. What do you like in the morning? Coffee. Oh, can I have your phone number? No. Kick rocks with your head down, you fucking idiot, because you didn't elicit emotion in me, which is exactly what she's thinking. If, on the other hand, she's like, what do you do for a living? And you're like, yeah, I'm a tanning butler. I go around spraying oil on people and trying to get them tan. And guys really get pissed off when I do it without their permission. I don't get why, but I love doing it, man. I love getting people all oiled up. And then she cracks up. You say, no, really? I'm an NLP coach. And then you tell a story, as do I, about why I became an NLP coach. And in your case, you have to think about those funny answers to the questions that she's going to ask you, as well as your true story answer, which has emotion behind it, ambition behind it, overcoming challenges behind it. Then when you ask her questions, it's the same process. Accuse her of something funny, ask her the truth, get her to talk about her emotions and stories related to that thing. So this is something you boys can prepare, because I know you guys absolutely love to prepare your answers. Here's your chance. And I'm telling you, in the first conversation especially, this can encompass 90% of it. You literally don't have to think off the cuff at all. If you just prepare all this shit and think about this one, if you want her to ask you what you do for a living, what's the way to do that? I'm putting this question to you, the listener. I know we're getting about 30 minutes in, but focus. If you want her to ask you, what do you do? What would you do to get her to ask you that? You ask her what she does first. You say, so what do you do? Let me guess. You're an ice cream man. You go through that whole sequence. Then you let the conversation drop. And you sit there kind of staring at her, waiting for you to ask me the same question. And then she's like, so what do you do? Boom, you're off to the races. I'm an ass model. No, really, this is what I do. And then you tell a story about it. Bam, attraction on command. This is how you differentiate yourself from the rest of the sea donkeys who are boring her to tears. Guys who have no personality, no emotion, no ambition, no confidence. It's easy to separate yourself from these jackasses and yank girl after girl after girl. Because I'll tell you what, gentlemen, very few women have had this kind of interesting conversation and they absolutely love it. So if you've listened to this and you got butthurt thinking this would never work, honestly, bro, you're not good with girls. I know just by you questioning it that you suck with women. So get out of that thinking and get into playful mode. Get into fucking with her mode. Get into busting her chops, building rapport, and having fun like kids on the schoolyard, because that's what builds attraction. Gentlemen, I do appreciate you listening. As a reminder, I drop podcasts on Mondays and Thursdays, so please stay tuned for the next one, and I will see you in the next episode.